It's a lot harder to be outrageous in 2020 than it was in 2006. The bar has certainly been raised. Sacha Baron Cohen's sequel does have some genuinely clever and effective moments, from a very touching interaction in a synagogue. Side note, by the way, that woman's estate, she unfortunately passed away this year. There's a very nice little homage to her, at the, like a little, in memoriam screen that comes up at the very, very end of the credits. But her estate is suing because they don't feel she should be in the film. It's complicated, but the reason I bring it up is that I think it would be horrible if her sequence was taken out of the film, because again, it was just so incredibly moving. And I think probably does the most good, I don't know, but it's definitely one of the highlights of the movie for me. There's also a babysitter who seems to truly care, a remarkable, very patient woman, and an ending that I actually found touching about how fathers can have just as fulfilling a relationship with daughters as they can with sons. Of course, it's Borat style, but it got me right here. I particularly like that. I've told you before that how a movie ends is incredibly important. And if you can get to the end of Borat subsequent to movie film, and it's going to be hard, but if you can get to the end, I think you'll feel that it ends on a positive note. That did give me a rosy, somewhat positive feeling of the film in retrospect because of that ending. Even though while I was watching it, I felt it was tough. Overall, though, I think, as you can see from my review, Cohen isn't able to make lightning strike twice. And for a number of reasons. Now, first of all, when he made the first Borat, hardly anyone knew who he was or was familiar with his routine or this type of routine. I mean, there's gotcha videos people are making all the time these days, trying to make themselves famous like Sacha Baron Cohen did, through social media, getting people. So even though he puts on different costumes to disguise himself, and I think most of them are obviously costumes. I mean, I've seen Sacha Baron Cohen have much more convincing get-ups. I mean, I guess that's part of the gag, but I think it hurts the skits, because it's hard to believe that a number of his victims aren't aware that something is up. Also, when I saw the first Borat, I saw it, of course, in a movie theater, and the reaction of the crowd around me, roaring with laughter, was a very big part of the experience, especially the naked hotel wrestling scene. I will never forget that. Not only was everyone around me roaring with laughter, but that's the scene that finally broke me. And I was like, that's funny. I mean, the absurdity of these two guys running around a hotel naked, really naked, bumping into innocent bystanders and seeing those bystanders process what was happening to them and deal with it in real time was brilliant. And it was something we'd never seen before. And I really loved that. And I think a large part of the success of that bit was its simplicity. And on that note, that's yet another problem with this sequel, and that a lot of the scenes here seem too contrived, they're overly complicated, and they're clearly pushing, again, the victim in a very specific direction. On that note, though, once again, we do see people saying or going along with horrible things when they think they're in private. And even if the scene is pushing them in that direction, the fact that they actually do go there is pretty bad. But while that was shocking back in 2006, today people say horrible and shocking things and do horrible and shocking things in public all the time. They do it brazenly. So while it's still sad and horrific to see it here, it's not new, which is also sad and horrific. You're like, I see that all the time, sadly. And Cohen is really preaching to the choir here. I feel even overly preaching to the choir. Even the choir is like, come on, man. I mean, as I tried to gather my thoughts about this film and what to say about it, I tweeted and asked you for help. I said, oh, guys, what do you want to know about this movie? I said, it's a real minefield, and it is. And one of you asked if it adds anything new to the conversation. Thank you. That was a really great question. And my answer to that is a resounding no. A lot of you also wanted to know if it was funny. And personally, I have to say I did not think it was. There was no scene as good as that naked hotel scene. I didn't laugh once during the movie. Now, to be fair, I'm not a huge fan of Sacha Baron Cohen's Borat-style humor. I'm a big fan of him overall. I think he's incredibly talented. I think he's a very smart person. And I could see a lot of the times the commentary he was trying to make here. But was it funny? I didn't think it was funny. Not only because, again, I'm not a huge fan of that style of humor, but because here you could see it all coming from like a mile away. You were like, as soon as a character would say one little thing or something, you would be like, oh, I know what you're going to do. And then they did it. I'd say the movie, the only times that it did surprise me were the ones that I mentioned at the beginning here. And even then, I wasn't like, wow. I was like, oh, that was pretty nice. That was nicely done. Maria Bakalova does a nice job as Borat's daughter. She's not only able to keep up with Sacha Baron Cohen, which is tough to do, but holds her own, while at the same time doesn't make it feel like she's competing with him either. It's a really good supporting performance. And to Sacha Baron Cohen's credit, he really obviously wants those scenes with his daughter to work. He could have easily, been like, I don't want her, and I don't want any chance that her character will become popular. He, it was both of them were very giving, which is, they're doing improv and, it's yes and, that's how improv works. And I think they were both very generous and talented performers. I don't know if they will ever make a third Borat. I mean, I wouldn't have paid $120 million for this, which is what Amazon paid. And only Amazon, though, will ever know if that was actually worth it because, of course, they don't have to release any numbers. But I don't think it's 120. I would have probably, I know Netflix's competing bid was 80, and then Amazon was just like, let's seal the deal. We're going 40 million higher. They shouldn't have done that. I'd be like 81. But I would have paid like maybe 60 tops for this, 60 million tops. But if they do ever make a third film, I would be disappointed if Borat's daughter wasn't in it. That's how much I enjoyed having her there. Now, finally, of course, what everybody wants to know, who'd they get? Who'd they embarrass? Well, they aren't really able to get Mike Pence. All you see of him is, they talk about him for a good chunk of the beginning of the movie, but all you see is like some, news footage that they used to introduce him. And then as far as the film itself getting him, they only really see him from far away. One time, like you've seen in the trailer. But they seem to get Rudy Giuliani pretty good. In fact, the movie is trending #1 today because of that, reveal. But is it really a reveal? I mean, again, is anyone at all surprised that that's what happened? That's, again, and like, it's, you're not like, what? What did Sacha Baron Cohen reveal? This is shocking. I never would have guessed that. Instead, you're like, what'd you think was going to happen? And that's exactly what did happen. I guess one thing really, one thing was done like in classic Borat fashion, and that was exposing QAnon people. I mean, hearing them share their beliefs was disturbing and also sad. I think that QAnon would have been a better target for this movie because it's new and a lot of people don't know about it. I mean, people are starting to learn about it, but to hear these people just so nonchalantly share their theories about drinking human blood and that they actually feel that people do this, specific people, was just incredible to see. That I think would have been a more useful, a better use of Sacha Baron Cohen's time if he wants to do some stuff like this. As for COVID, I thought that his joke on that was in poor taste. I didn't think it was funny. But the movie spotlights very real and dangerous conspiracy theory, so throwing a fake one in there for comedic effect, and again, wasn't even funny. There was one, the best surprise cameo, it was there, but it's so fast, you might not even realize it. I was like, what? Oh my God. But I wouldn't have put that in there. I thought it was a step too far, and again, as I said, irresponsible. I was in fact surprised that the individual who did the cameo was willing to do it based on the context of the cameo. So you can watch Borat subsequent movie film. That stuff was like a funny, the Borat voice and everything like that was funny, but because he's supposed to be in, nice, I did enjoy his Mickey Mouse pajamas, but, because he's supposed to be in disguise most of the film, you don't have any of that anymore. So it's like some weird European, pseudo-Western American accent. It just loses its charm. But you're probably going to watch this movie. I mean, I think at this point, Sacha Baron Cohen has become a bit of a performance artist, particularly with this type of material. So you're going to want to see what he's up to. But I wouldn't make a whole evening out of it, or else you might be really disappointed, or at least be like, this was not a great evening. I think it's a better thing to turn on in the afternoon or have on in the background. That would be my recommendation. So I'm very curious to hear what you think about this movie. It starts streaming this week, only on Amazon Prime. They paid a lot of money for it, so they want you to come over there and watch it. You get 2 free day shipping as part of the deal. You're already probably subscribed for The Boys, so you might as well take a gander at what Sacha Baron Cohen is up to. It will at least introduce you to Maria. I really liked the ending. I didn't even know if I liked Maria Bakalova until the end. At first, I was like, nah. And so many of the things they made her do. Whoa. But she did them. And you might be like, that's something to be proud of? Well, if you're going to play Borat's daughter, you better play Borat's daughter. And she did. And I'm sure that if I thought about it, some of the disgusting, grotesque things that they did probably had like deeper meaning. But it's just so off-putting and so... I don't know if people are going to be compelled to do the work. But it had nice moments and it had a good ending. So that's why I'm like, I kind of liked it because I liked the ending so much. All right, the final shot was I just thought really sweet. All right, so anyway, share your thoughts down below. Don't put any spoilers in it. If you're going to put spoiler comments, please mark them. Subscribe today. And of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.